understand what kind of food printing, what kind of interactive these tools are living in the system, because this is later on will help you to detect if someone is scanning you, or if someone is really enumerating your systems. Okay, so we really need, so why we need it? So we need it for two reasons. And this is the whole topic for today about food printing. And I'll explain what food printing in 1 second. But the whole topic for today is the attackers, guys, are using certain tools to scan your network, to gather more information about your network. So for you as an analyst, you need to learn this from 2 points of view. Some of you maybe would like to be a penetration testing in the future. So this will be very beneficial lecture today, because you will learn how these tools are working, how their tools are gathering information about the target machine, and how can we use this information later on to attack a machine or to really exploit a machine. So this is from the attacker point of view. From the defender point of view, or from someone who's working as an analyst or someone who's working in SOC, when you understand how these tools are working, you can understand what kind of traces and what kind of logs it leaves in the system when these tools are scanning my system or gathering information about my system. So later on, I can look for the traces and I can look for the evidence that my system is being scanned or my system being enumerated. So this will help you also to detect an attacks in early beginning. So this is very important, and that's exactly what you should do as a SOC engineer. So this is the whole objective for today's lecture. So without further ado, I'm not going to talk about enumeration and how enumeration is done, what food printing, because Abir will be covering this. But where is the idea of food printing are coming from? And the idea here, guys, we will cover it in very deep details, inshallah, when we finish this course and start the penetration testing course. But the idea here of food printing are coming from the methodology of penetration testing. So in order to understand what is penetration testing first, and then we should understand how the penetration testing steps or methodology, and then we will figure out what is enumeration is all about. Enumeration or food printing or reconnaissance or gathering information, all of them are the same meaning. Okay, so what is the penetration testing is all about? So this is a very brief introduction about penetration testing, and this is what I wanted you guys to really learn about penetration testing. Penetration tester or ethical hacker, what they do, they try to break into your system in order to find vulnerability, in order to find weaknesses in systems, and highlight these vulnerabilities and highlight these weaknesses, and recommend for you a remediation or a rectification before the bad guys will do this. Okay, so you hire someone as an penetration tester, you hire someone as an ethical hacker, because you want him to really penetrate your system, to really break into your system, to really find out about vulnerabilities in your system and highlight this to you, and also recommend this in a professional way, how to fix this in the future. This is before the bad guys find. So if you look at when we should implement penetration testing, guys, and this is what we do in reality. Penetration testing is before you authorize the system, before you take the system online and expose it to maybe to the world, when you have maybe a web server or maybe a mail server, before you take this mail server to the outside world, you should have done vulnerability scanning, the thing that we have talked about it before, and you should have done penetration testing before you expose your system to the outside world. Why? Because you wanted to make sure that system is secure enough and there is no obvious vulnerability. So you hire someone called the penetration tester, and he will run some scanning. He will try to find some exploitation, and then at the end of the day, he will give you a recommendation for what is issues in your system or what is weaknesses in the system, and will give you a recommendation how to fix this issue. So this is in a very brief way what is penetration testing. But if you try to look at the books, what is penetration testing is all about, it's gonna give you a long definition, but it has the same exact definition that I just explained, which we are trying to evaluate the system security. Okay, we're trying to look at if there is a loophole or is an issue that the attacker can use to really compromise the system. So you can see here the definition here is coming from, I think, NIST, is a process of evaluating system, application, and protocols. why he specifically choose this all like evaluating system with the intent of identifying vulnerability, usually from the perspective of unprivileged user or anonymous users, okay, to determine potential real-world impact. Okay, so you are really trying to look at weaknesses and to try to see if these weaknesses can impact on my system. Okay, why he choose evaluating system? Because in our IT environment we have system, and this system consists of multiple components. We have network components, okay, we have operating system components, we have also application components, we have end users components, the user they are using these applications. So we have the end user who is using this. So we're getting someone from outside who is gonna test our network protocols, test our network connectivity, test our network, components, which is routers and the switches, and try to find out if there is any weakness in this network. Okay. Also testing the operating system. I need to make sure the operating system, whether Linux, Unix, any operating system that I'm using within the corporate environment is secure. I'm testing also the application, okay, that we are using it within our organization. I'm testing, for example, my database, is it secure or no? Okay, I'm testing my mail server, my web application. Also, I'm testing the user awareness, how they handle the system. So some of the attacks, some of the penetration testing, they go after the user. They send phishing emails. They send, they do social engineering. They call this users. Okay, because I wanted to really evaluate all the system components. So I really need to evaluate it from the way that the attackers will do in order to really penetrate my system. So I get someone, this is the penetration testers, who are gonna test all this stuff, evaluate all the systems. Here is what the system is all about. Application running on this system, whether the database, okay, protocols, whether the network protocols like TCP/IP or maybe different network components. Okay, what is the intent of this evaluation? Okay, to identify vulnerabilities. I'm looking for weakness. Once as I find a weakness, I will see if it's a valid weakness or no. So I will validate this weakness. If it's a valid weakness and it can compromise the machine or compromise the server, okay, or compromise even the human here, okay, I will highlight this in my report. So the penetration testers, by end of the day, they will write down a report, and this report will saying, you know what, we find this kind of vulnerability, we managed to exploit it, and this is caused so and so and so. So it's compromised the confidentiality, integrity, availability of these systems, and we recommend so and so and so in order to really protect the system from these attacks. So this is what penetration testers are doing. Okay, guys. And as I mentioned, it will be very beneficial to do penetration testing from time to time to understand how your system looks like, and before you publish the system online. So this is when you exactly do the penetration testing, before you publish a system online, and before also from time to time, like in a quarterly basis or in a maybe yearly basis. Okay, guys. Okay, why a company will hire someone, okay, to do penetration testing? Again, this is very important. I will not explain all of them because all of them are really long. It's not, today is not like a lecture about penetration testing, but I'm just giving you the introduction for what we're gonna do today later on with Abir and Asad, which is basically the first stage of penetration testing, which is information gathering. Okay, so I'm just gonna give you a brief, and then we will go back to this lecture later on when we started the course about penetration testing. So again here, guys, if you can see, we are trying to proactively, see this word is very important in security, proactively prevent breaches. Okay, what is, and then why he's just giving these two armies over here? Okay, because you don't want to check your defenses. You wanted to make sure that you don't have obvious vulnerability before the bad guys can find out. So you are proactively looking for weaknesses. You are proactively looking for weaknesses, vulnerabilities, okay? Because remember, we have already talked about proactively before. You remember when we talked about threat hunting, and the threat hunting is part of your SOC team, and SOC team, they also, the threat hunters, they also proactively looking for threats. So these guys were looking at threats. Here, the penetration testers, you're looking for vulnerability proactively before the bad guys find it. So you are doing two things here proactively. You do threat hunting in one side. This is for looking for threats. So this is for threat hunting. Okay, we're doing vulnerability hunting, and this is what the penetration testers are doing. Okay, they try to find vulnerability and compromise this vulnerability before the bad guys, so they can really give you a recommendation how to fix it. Okay, so this proactively is very important. Okay, really, you need to also validate detective controls and validate preventive controls. What we mean by this, guys? Okay, our systems or our IT system, we build it using NIST standard that we talked about, the NIST framework. We said that in order to protect the system, you will run, risk assessment. That's what we have covered yesterday. And we also we need also to to implement protection controls and detection controls. Okay, if I have a penetration testers out there and I told him try to really penetrate my system and see how if you can really compromise my system or not. So I have already done with my system. What I have told you guys yesterday is defense in depth. So I built layer and layer of security and layer and layer of detection techniques, okay, in order what to protect this system, okay. And then if I wanted really to see if my controls are really valid, what we mean by really valid, are they really gonna do their jobs? Are they gonna stop an attacker from getting there? Okay, so I wanted really to check if my application firewall will stop the attacker, if my normal stateful firewall will stop the attacker, if the attack will be detected by my maybe host intrusion detection systems. So I wanted to really see if my controls are doing the job that I really implemented for. So how to validate all my security to get someone to try to penetrate, okay? And this is exactly if you have a house, okay, and you started to have a camera system, a fence, a door lock, and you really wanted to check if you are really secure or no. So you simulate this, you simulate an attack by giving someone, okay, you tell him, okay, go ahead and let me see if you can really get to my house. And you are sitting here in the camera watching. You wanted to see if he would be able to jump over the fences. You wanted to see if he would be able to pick this lock easily and go in the house. You wanted to see if the camera will be detecting his movement into your house. So you're really trying also this. So we actively looking for vulnerability, and then at the same time also we are trying to really validate our defenses and our really detection techniques. If we can detect him, if we can prevent him, if the ethical hacker that you hired or the penetration tester you hired, he said, I couldn't really find any vulnerability, that's mean you are doing a very good job when it comes to defense, to defend your system. Okay, طبعا I'm just not gonna tell you that some requirements right now, especially coming from the industry we talked about yesterday, there is a pressure coming from the industry you're working in. There is laws that's been pushed in the company, and they need to comply with these laws and industry regulators. Okay, and some of these regulators are right now, like BCI, DSS, and all this stuff, is they enforce you to do penetration testing and ethical hacking in a regular basis. So, and sometimes you do this because you are forced by the industry, okay, to check yourself and see if you have a valid protection and detection controls or no. So this is guys also something I wanted to highlight. I have already explained maybe this, where is the penetration testing fitting into our IT security program. So this is like really our security programs. We do a lot of things in security programs. It starts with, we are having business requirement to secure the business. We have some compliance requirement to secure the business. We have threats out there. They are trying to get us, okay? So we need to evaluate risk and vulnerability assessment. And this is exactly, okay, where is vulnerability assessment and penetration testing taking place. There is a subtle, difference between there is I would say, small difference between what is a vulnerability assessment and what is penetration testing. I'll try to cover it quickly, but eventually the penetration testing happening here in this phase. And the penetration testing, guys, once it's finished, once it's giving you a recommendation, it will be the drive to implement more technical controls into your system. Because if the penetration testers manage to really penetrate your network or penetrate your systems, okay, it will drive you to say, okay, what kind of controls I need to implement in order for this attacks not to happen again. Okay, you remember we have something called post incidents. Okay, Post incidents is if we have it's reactive measurement. If we have an incident, at the end of the incident, we have something called post incidents. What we learn from this incident, how to enhance our security defenses in the future. And the same thing, guys, here. When we do penetration testing, we are proactively looking for vulnerability. If we find the vulnerability, we highlight this vulnerability and we go ahead and try to fix it using the technical controls. Okay, guys? Perform vulnerability assessment? Usually no. Okay, usually by GRC they don't do the vulnerability assessment. Usually the penetration testers is the one that who does vulnerability assessment. Okay, sometimes who's really if you have someone who doing risk and he is really good, he has a lot of technical technical background in how to implement vulnerability assessment, he can go ahead and do it. Yeah, if he have the skills set exactly. Okay, but usually usually the GRC they called it the non-technical job now in IT security. But but from time to time also I would tell you why vulnerability assessment right now is not the best thing to do. Why? Because you know when you run a vulnerability assessment, and you will see this inshallah when we do inshallah next month's vulnerability assessment. The vulnerability assessment will give you a list of huge vulnerabilities, okay? Like list of maybe 10, 15, 20, 30 vulnerabilities, okay? So if you just got the score of this vulnerability and plugged it in the risk equation, okay, it shows you that you have risk in this and this. But how many valid vulnerabilities you have, okay? And this is only you will have if you get someone to really dig into each vulnerability and try to really exploit it. This is where penetration testing is useful, because not every vulnerability, the vulnerability scanners will show you is a real vulnerability. Some of them are maybe, some of them are maybe false positive. Okay, so you really need to get someone from the vulnerability assessment team to really look into your vulnerability and give you his opinion. So this is penetration testing, guys. Okay, and this is what something we have already covered maybe in the Security Plus, but it's good to remind you there is so many type of of hats and boxes in penetration testing. Some of these are, they call it the hats, means the person who's doing the penetration testing, and some of them are the what type of penetration testing techniques will do. So the hats, we have 3 hats: gray hat and black hat and white hat. So the black hat is basically the bad guys who is really exploiting your system for financial gain or for activism or for nation states. So this is the bad guys. They don't really care about really your system. The good guys, the ethical hackers, is where we call it a white hat, is someone who is try to penetrate your system. And once he managed to penetrate your system, he will share the knowledge with you so you can fix the system before someone can do harm. The gray hat is one in between. Sometimes he shared the information, and sometimes I was explained to Naif yesterday that he preferred to sell this information. He found a very nice vulnerability in one of this new product, so he found it is more profitable to sell this vulnerability in the dark web. So the gray hat, they are working in between. So you have the black hat, okay, you have gray hat, and we have the white hat. Okay, and we have different type of testing as well. So the type of testing, it's a black box, is simulating someone from outside. He doesn't know anything about your corporate environment. He doesn't understand anything about your network. He doesn't understand anything about the application. You hire him to simulate an attacker from outside. So this is what we call the black hat. He has zero knowledge about you. Okay, you tell him, my name of my client is abc.com, and we wanted you to really see what you can really penetrate in the system. Okay, in the white box, you are simulating an attack from inside. So you give him all the details, because if someone is inside your organization and he decided to attack you, he will knows everything. He knows your IP addresses, he knows your domain, he knows where is your mail server, he knows your DMZ, he maybe have a network topology. So in a white box, we are simulating an insider attacks, okay? In a gray box, we give him some information that he can easily gather about us. So we are saying like we give him a shortcut to start his penetration testing right away. So this is the difference between the black box, gray box, and white box. So this is, guys, the difference between them. Here is also in this diagram saying this is a white box, gray box, black box, and you can see what kind of information I'm sharing with my penetration testers before they start uh, the 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 basically the attack. Okay, and again, type of penetration testing means what kind of penetration testing will do. So this is kind of go back to the scope. Okay, why are you getting a penetration testing? Are you really focused on someone to do a cloud penetration testing, or you are focused on someone to do physical penetration testing so he can try to really penetrate your physical defenses? Okay, especially they do this if you have a military base or something like this. Also, do you have also sometimes you really worried about your employees themselves, they getting fished or they got social engineered. So you do also sometimes of penetration testing is really focused on the administration, on the management of the IT part of really the soft skills of human who is managing the IT system. So this is the types. We are really doing technical stuff. So this is we're gonna doing evaluation for the cloud instance we have. So this is kind of technical. We have also physical. Uh, we have also administration or a soft part. Okay, what are the rules of engagement when you are really wanted to start the penetration testing? Okay, you need to have some rules, and these rules means if you or in order to start your penetration testing, you need to follow certain rules, and the one certain the written permission here, it is the company giving don't have this right permission, you can end up with jail. Why? Because because this is there is fines and laws that's consider hacking is a crime, and you don't want to break one of these laws. So in order to do ethical hacking in a proper way, you need to get a written approval. You need to have a clear communication with your client. Okay, you need to really specify what timing you're going to do this testing. Okay, so all this stuff you need to really have it before you start to engage with the system. So that is the coded rule of engagement. طبعا they start saying don't do denial of service attacks and all this other stuff that's the really agreed about it. And okay, so this is really what I wanted really to get into, because this is when I will give Abir and Asad the chance to really talk to you guys about other stages. So if you can see here, penetration testing, guys, is a science, okay, or is is a process like anything that we studied in cybersecurity. This is a process. Incident response is a process. Threat hunting is process. Okay, also penetration testing is a process. Okay, what we mean by process, we need to follow certain steps until we manage to really compromise or really take advantage of a system. So how can we do this, guys? So this is there is so many methodologies out there. NIST, they have their own methodology. Ethical hacking, certified ethical hacking, they have own methodology. OSCP, they have their own methodology. But end of day, this is the same exact methodology. Kill chain, we have already studied kill chain. It's also another methodology to penetrate or to attack a system. We have covered kill chain before. Okay, so the kick-off, we start our project to agree what we're gonna do, the scope. Okay, are we gonna test Windows? What kind of are we gonna get the contract between me and the company are signed? So this is the kick-off. This is non-technical part. But the technical part is where you start to gather information about the target. So this is called it, and this is what we call it information gathering. Sometimes we call it also footprinting. Some of books referring it as reconnaissance. And in a very easy way, before I will start to leave this to Abir, okay, if you have two armies over here, guys, so you have maybe blue army, okay, and red army, and they started really they're gonna start really a war. What happened even before the war? This is a physical war. I will send a small group of soldiers we called it this recon group, and this recon group will go and watch the other army. Okay, this is a kind of intelligence. Okay, they started to gather information about the other armies. They started to see what is their defenses, how many of them. Okay, did they have really weak points over here? What is the strongest point in this army? So this is what we do really in reality when we started a war, right? We started to get all this information about your enemy by doing a recon. I'm sure that you heard the word recon in so many American movies. So that we send a small group of soldiers to really spy and to get some information about my target before I attack. Okay, so this is the information gathering stage, which is we call it footprinting or reconnaissance. And then once we finish this stage, after we gather all the information, we try to find a vulnerability within this information or within this system that we find. Okay, because I have a list of all the servers that I got from my target. I have a list of all application that is running on my target. I have a list of all the employees' name and data that is coming from the target. I can use it later on to start my attack. Okay, and this is where the penetration happening or the exploitation. Once you find a valid vulnerability, okay, you start to really try to exploit it. Okay, and this is what we call it penetration or exploitation. And then once you exploited one user, you wanted to escalate yourself in the target machine to be an admin. So this is the escalation privilege stage. And once you do escalation privilege and you own the system, now you can really do evidence gathering, or in this case, guys, you can really attacker once he's become an admin, he can achieve his objective, whether to exfiltrate data outside or whether to infect your system with a ransomware. And finally, the attacker will clean up the logs, because this is very important, because he doesn't want to leave any traces that he was attacking your system. And that's why we need threat hunters, and we need the SOC team to really get into this as soon as possible before the attacker managed to clean all this. Why? Because the attacker now is an admin. Okay, admin can do anything, can delete logs, can manipulate the logs, can even, do crazy stuff in the system, so the system will not be working anymore. So that's why in this case. And then lastly, what your penetration tester will do is he will write a report, and report is gonna highlight all the vulnerability he found it in your system. Okay, he will give you a kind of recommendation how to fix this vulnerability, and finally he will deliver this to you. So this is the methodology, and this is what we gonna talk about today is information gathering. So how can we really get data from our target or from the victim machine? Okay, so we're gonna try to gather information. We're gonna go into a fight. I wanted to really gather as much information as I can, because this will make my life later on, okay, easier to attack the system. Okay, guys. And in the same times, it's also good for our defenses or SOC engineers or maybe threat hunters, because as long as the attacker now is trying to really interact with my system, he will leave traces. So for the threat hunters here, these traces can be an early indication of compromise. So if I can really take these attacks before it even started to escalate to vulnerability enumeration or even exploitation, it will be even better. Okay, so it's good for us as a SOC engineers, and I want someone who's working in detection to find the early stages of an attack as soon as it starts to happen. So this is also why I'm trying to connect the dots between why we're talking about information gathering today and how this will be also helpful for us as we studying detection technique course. Okay, guys, so this is the connection between them. So in this case, guys, as I mentioned, that methodology exists in so many places. You can find it in NIST, in OWASP. All of them, they have a standard, a common standard to really look into the systems. Okay, and this is like a kind of difference between what is penetration testing and what is assessment. Vulnerability assessment will highlight what is vulnerability, but it will not validate if this is a real vulnerability or no. But then again, we have the penetration testing is where we validate if that's a real vulnerability or no. So this is the difference between them. It's a very subtle, but it's very important, because not every vulnerability that you get from the vulnerability scanners like NISS or Nmap or whatever, it will be a valid vulnerability. Sometimes it's give you a false positive. So you really need to validate this. So this is the penetration testing. Who can do the penetration testing? You can hire someone internally to do the penetration testing, So this is someone within your team who can do this. So you train him how to be a penetration testers. Or if you don't have the capability, if you don't have the skill sets within your team, you can go ahead and hire someone externally. Okay, guys, what kind of skills you really need to be as a penetration testers? You need two skills. Some of them are technical skills, and some of them are non-technical skills. So the non-technical skills is how to communicate with business, how to represent your work, how to communicate with your peers within the network, how to communicate with the client. So this is kind of non-technical skills. How to represent your work in a very nice written format, so it's easy to understand. And at the same time, there is a technical skills. The technical skills is basically divided to two areas. So, some of them are offensive, so you are really attacking the system. So you have to have the mentality and the skill sets of an hacker. So you really can find vulnerabilities and exploit this vulnerability. So this is the offensive side. Also, the defensive side, as an penetration tester, you need to also to have the penetration side, because you're gonna run the attack, and once you finish and find valid vulnerability, you can write a report and say how to fix this vulnerability. So you really need to also to look at the defensive part. So you said, okay, I found this vulnerability, I compromised this vulnerability. Okay, in order to fix this vulnerability, you need to implement so and so and so as a solution. So you really have a mentality of defensive. So this is what kind of technical skills that you really need to do to be an penetration testing. So this is a non-technical skills. I have talked about it, written and verbal communication. You need to be professionals in what you do. So this is we already covered. Also the basic technical skill sets, as I mentioned, you have to have the two mentality of offensive one and defensive one. The offensive one, as I told you guys, you need to really think like a hacker and really be the hackers aggressive sometimes to exploit vulnerabilities and to do things. Okay, so this is really requires them to know a lot of things about Windows environment, network environment, Linux environment, what defenses techniques usually companies are doing to stop an attacks. So you really need to know all of this stuff, and then at the same time also the defensive techniques. Also, you need to know about it in order to write a proper report highlighting what has been done and how can we stop this in the future, and what kind of mitigation techniques that we'll use to stop this. And that's why, guys, in the early beginning here, I have mentioned that one of the things that will drive us to really implement technical control, or maybe preventive technical control, or maybe physical controls, or maybe administrative controls, is basically to do a vulnerability assessment or penetration testing. So this one will drive our technical, because this is will make us focus on what is our weaknesses, so we can really fortify our weakness and stop the attacks in the future. So this is just I'm giving you like a very brief about penetration testing, but the most important thing that for me here to explain is basically this methodology, because Abir is going to start explaining this methodology right after I leave. So the information gathering phase is where I really wanted to start today. Okay, and later on, inshallah, when we come back to study penetration testing, maybe next week, or maybe the week after. Okay, we will be focusing in more details about what's happening in each one of these. I would say stages. Okay, in more deep details. But just to keep in mind, this is a process, and the process started with information gathering, and that is what's happening. Okay, what else I wanted to do? There is some tools that you need as a penetration tester to have in order really to do your work. So this penetration testers tools, it's mostly it exists in Kali Linux, and if you really need extra, you can download as well. But what will make you really distinguish penetration testers is when you started to create your tools. And in order to create your tools, you really need to have some skill sets about programming. Okay, so that's why in really high advanced penetration testing certificates and education, you will really learn how to do bash programming, or how to do coding for Linux and Windows machine using different kind, how to use, for example, PowerShell to do scripting. So this is really an advanced way. So mainly the attackers, the early beginning stage of this being a penetration testing, you will use a common tools that exist everywhere at the part of Kali Linux. But then later on, in you are really advanced attackers, who really a nation state one, they can create their own tools. This is because they have the technicality of how to program. And that's why I always advise my students, if you really studied programming in the university, you really should sharp your programming skills, especially if you are planning to stay in penetration testing, because you will definitely need it in the future. Okay, guys. So with the knowledge, okay, and the tools, you train your brain as an attackers, and now we have a real penetration testing. So again, any career, you need the knowledge of Windows operating system, Linux operating system, networks, you name it. Okay, so this is all the knowledge that we are explaining to you. You guys can read online, you guys can watch video, and then the tools. This is what the experience part we give you in afternoon session for assignments, when we give you some demo about how to use these tools. So this is both of them can train your mind to be a really good ethical hacker. And this is the important thing, because we want you to think like a hacker and really act into the system like a hacker. Okay, guys, so far so good. Okay, so I will leave you guys here in the information gathering phase. Okay, this is the information gathering phase where we're gonna talk about why we need information gathering, what is the different technique in information gathering, whether it's a passive or active one. So I think this is like a quick refresh lecture in the morning before I get you guys really. I would have to leave right now to do my own things outside. I'm sorry about leaving today early, but I will give you guys a 15 minutes break. Break, so we should be able to come back at 10 o'clock. Okay, when you guys come back in 10 o'clock, Dr. Abir, we're gonna be looking at how different stages of FootPrinting is happening, what is FootPrinting is all about, and the methodology for FootPrinting. Okay, guys, so far so good. Any questions? Okay, guys. Okay, great.
Thank you, Mr. Shadi. Thank you. Have a
I'm not
good day
Asad.
for you. Yeah,
Okay, thank
Shadi.
you. Thank you. No, I think I look like Asad maybe, but
No, it
the
doesn't look like.
Egyptian version. Okay. Okay, great. So thank you guys very much. I'll leave you guys for your break. Enjoy your tea break. And then we'll come back at 10 o'clock to look at information gathering and what is information gathering and FootPrinting is all about. So see you guys in a bit.
Okay, guys, as Shadi told you that about penetration testing and about about hacking methodology and about the enumeration output analysis, it is not an accurate title for today's topic. It is about mainly footprinting. Okay, we need firstly to know about what does it mean of hacking or attacking, and what's the difference between attack and pen test. So attacking or hacking, it is unauthorized access to obtaining a protected or confidential information by illegals. By illegal way means through the use several methods commonly used by hackers. These methods always used by penetration tester also, because at all the time penetration tester thinking like hackers. They need to use hackers tactics, techniques, and methodologies and tools. But the difference between hacking or attacking and penetration testing, that the penetration testing is done, this process is done by approval from the company. We need to work on it. The penetration testing should be done just when gets an approval from the company or organization. But attacking, no need for that. Just make it. It may be for scanning to get a knowledge or make some damage or some outage for the service. They have many targets to make the hacking process. Is it clear, this difference between penetration testing and attacking? Okay. Good. Okay. To make this attack or this penetration testing, we go through 7 phases. These phases, we go through it step by step, phase by phase. The first phase, we should work on it. It's called reconnaissance. Reconnaissance, sometimes in some books, it's called data gathering. Reconnaissance, data gathering, or footprinting. All of them are same. This is the first stage to start our attack or our penetration test. In this stage, attack should collect much of data about the potential system or potential person who need to attack him. Okay, he will scan complete level at level for individual and organization to obtain and collect the necessary information. Okay, what of this information? Okay. Before, footprinting is the gathering of information about potential system or network. It's known as data gathering. Let's change it. Okay. Attacker in this point, he identifying potential target system. How? He looks for the system he want to attack it firstly, and that try to collect a data about this system. Okay, what of this data? In this summary, we'll go back to the vendor view. Okay. To collect this data, the attacker can go through two types of footprinting or foot scanning or data gathering scanning or data scanning. All of these are the same. He can go by passive footprinting or active footprinting. Passive footprinting, it can be with the network scanning, yes, about network scanning, email scanning. These scans can be done through many ways. We can talk about it later. Active scan or active footprinting looks like a social engineering. The attacker prefer in this scan to communicate directly with this person who need to attack him directly, or this company, he need to attack it. So mainly he will try to collect some data passively and then use this data who collected passively to communicate or establish a live communication between him and this organization to make a social engineer by contacting with anyone from this organization. So social engineer is a real example for active footprinting. Is it clear to know about the passive techniques or active techniques?
Yes, Ms. Abir, it's clear.
Okay. What these data should be collected? He need to know about employees, who is important, or yes, who is important employees, or who is active or who's effective employees in this organization to contact with him. Okay, about the branch or location for this organization or these servers, he need to attack it. Okay, about this operating system, what is it? Is it Windows? Is it Ubuntu or OS, or whatever? About this operating system work on the organization system. About username and password for this system. Data structure or file structure of the organization. The structure files for organization. It's called organization profile. He needs to know about open ports to get an idea about these ports, which ports are open, and also to know about the vulnerabilities of this system. So from footprinting or data gathering, the attacker needs to know about the system, if he can make it locally or remotely. If he is working in same network or outside, he should get an IP, and this IP can be collected from the domain. If he know about the company, website, he can dig it, or NSLOOKUP, by NSLOOKUP or dig command, he can retrieve the IP address for this service or for this server. Also with Nmap or Hashcat, it's have different uses. Okay, by Nmap, you are knowing about it. He can find the operating system working in this server. He should know about username and password. This data, it can be collected sometimes from the social media. If he makes some tracks about these employees and try to communicate with him to read his mind and his behavior, he can to guess about the username or password. Password, it can be cracked. It's not a problem. He can, by giving a network topology or network structures, or he can know about the business hierarchy for this organization, or the process, how it can be escalated. He can get an idea about organization profile or file structure of the organization. Is it clear? Okay. All of them. Okay, what attacker can perform to make this FootPrinting? Oh, okay. This information should be gathered also. We talk about system information for all hosts, network topology like what? Like gateway, firewall, overall topologies about network, and network traffic information. It can be by trace route, make a trace route for the IP from his local host. We will see, I will see you that. I will let you to know how it can be found on Nmap tool. And specialized server like web server, what ports are open? If 80 ports is open, it's a weakness. Is there any certificate or not? If it is not, it's a weakness. Our database port, is it a default port or not? Default port is a vulnerable port. FTP, is it work as FTP service or SFTP service? Email, it can be traced also and collect a many of data from this email scan. Okay. Okay. Before talking about the data gathering tools, we need firstly to know about these steps the attacker can perform FootPrinting, can go through to perform FootPrinting. Okay, he need to find firstly external or internal URL for the company. Firstly, he should know about the internal or external IP address. And usually, attacker know about the website link. But sometimes he didn't know about it. But he have a problem. Or let me, as attacker, I will explain it in better. If I have a problem with anyone, I can go through his profile on LinkedIn and find where he is working, and from that I can get the information about his organization. Then I can get this URL and scan it and get many information about it. Is it clear how we can use this scan? We can go through many steps, many ways, many tactics many methodologies to do that, step by step. If we get more time to do this scan, footprinting scan, if we spend more time in reconnaissance stage and collect much of data, that is mean more chance to success in our attack. Okay, we can use an online tool. It calls Who's. Who's is an online tool. It's a website. We can enter and try to find an information about this. Okay, let us to see that. Okay. .com. Okay, for now, I will go to scan for my friend site to be in safe side, because all of these scans, it can be registered in the organization log if they have a configuration log for security. Okay, we can see that. Oh, domain information. The domain name is dd.net. Registered on this site on the 28th of February 2015. All of data. You can see registered contact. His name, my friend, his name Abdurrahman Abbas, his name and his phone number and his email. Can you show that? I have no idea about his email, but it is registered here. We can collect this data from here. Look at this. Oh, it's a data. It's a domain ID. Registered, this domain or this site registered where? This is URL. And his email, it's a different email. It's a work email. It is not like the previous one. Look, this email and this is email, different email. His phone number. This is abuse email. And this is his own email. This email, it is for the authorized of this site. Okay, his name and also his phone number, all of data. This is the name server, the name of server. Also, here we can find the system is built, or this site is built with WordPress. It's a good information also. Okay. From here, we get an email, a name, server name, a word, the code of the website, and also his name. Yeah, okay, his name, his contact details, name, email, and phone number, the email server, abuse, and also the WordPress, this code, he built the website, and also the name server. This is the much of data we can collect from Whois. Is it clear? We can use Whois to get an information about the organization profile. Is it clear? Okay, we can make that here. we find the DNS, right? But till now, we have no idea about this IP address for this server. Just we get an idea about, or get enough information about the name of the server. Okay, for now, we want to know about the IP address for this. Okay, we can write ns lookup dd25. Okay, here you can find the IP address for this server. For now, we have a name server and IP address. It's a data. We have no idea about it before. Okay. The other, anybody need more clarification or more explanation? All of you? Okay. Let us to go to ZenMap. I make it before. I'll make it with you firstly. Oh my goodness. We can use Nmap by command line, or you can install ZenMap as a GUI. I think most of you prefer the GUI, so I'll give you how you can install the GUI for Nmap. It's called ZenMap in your device. So for here, we have a much of scan, like intense scan plus UDP port, all of TCP ports, intense scan, no ping, no need to ping scan scan, just ping, quick scan or scan plus or trace route. No need for all of these. Just make a quick scan for now. Quick scan. When we try to make it as a quick scan, automatically you'll find that nmap-t4-f, it appear here. If you use this command, you can use it on the shell, on the terminal. Okay, here in the target, we should write the site we need to scan it. Okay, scan. Just here, we'll wait a time to find the result. Okay. This is one IP. This server has just one IP. So which is weaknesses? No redundancy. So if we are going through denial of service, this server will be down quickly. No redundancy, no IP address, no clustered, no, it's a single node. One of the weaknesses for now, we have idea about it. All of these ports are open. 221 SNFTP port, 215 SMTP port, and also domain port, HTTP. But this is a weak port for POP3. It's a mail for a mail server. That is mean in this site, we have a mail server also. It's a server about mail server also, because we have POP3 and SMTP. No, SMTP, no, it is IMAP, just IMAP. IMAP also for email service. POP3 is insecure port, but POP3S is a secure port. So when the client needs to use a mail server, he should use POP3 port as secure. Okay, he submits a port HTTPS, and then he have a send answer book. It's a configured port. SQL, it's a default port. Also, it's a weakness. We should, as a security, we should change all of default ports for all of the services. Okay, let us to go to here. Okay, yes. All of these ports are open. If he wants to work with HTTPS, he should close port 80 or filtered it or change it. Change or filter to use 443 port for HTTPS. Here, we can find the topology for this site. It is not complete yet. So let us go to this, because this is completed. I made it before. All of ports are scanned as regular. You can find here, port is closed, and this is closed, and all of these are opened. Much of service are used. Okay, this is localhost. This is my device here, and this is dd.net server. Okay, this is the control, no need to control, host viewer, IP. This is IP for the server. This is host name. This is ports. Port 21 is FTP port is open and 22 is closed. From here, we can get an idea. This service is up on the Linux operating system. This is Linux operating system. From here, you can find it, Linux operating system. For now, we get a new information about operating system. We have a server name, IP address, operating system, and ports, which ports are open, all of these data. Okay, here we can find the service, all of these, and try to find the vulnerability for these ports or how it can be used to attack. Okay, let's go with another. I'll scan for now. Sec noms. It is my site. No one go to scan it ever. It's my own site, my own business. So let us make a quick scan. No, it's no. I need signals. Let's see what's happened with my site. Okay, we can in the past with dd25.net site, we are used NSLOOKUP. For now, let us to use dig. Oh. I think that because another process are used here. Okay, so, NSLOOKUP. Which is also same result. We need to finish Nmap firstly. Yes. Even Nmap, it running with GUI, it make the shell or the terminal hanged. Okay, is it completed or not? Not yet. Oh. Here, I think we find this before in this previous DD25, still now DD25, we're looking for. From my site or from localhost, my device, go to this 192.168.142.2, this IP address or the gateway, and then move directly to site of the DD. For now, okay, it will take some time to finish the scan, and let us, what happened in my site? Okay, we have a different type for scan. It is a scan for email. In this scan, it can made online. They have many tools online. You can use it to scan an email. Okay. About these tools, we are, or with these types of the FootPrinting, we are talk about the social engineering, right? How it can be done? Looks like try to communicate with this as a seller, reseller, employee, just knock the door and ask his wife many questions about her husband, and try to get an information from her, or okay, I'll be back later. Okay, can you give me your phone number to contact later? And then get an idea about phone number to communicate on another time, to get more idea, more information from about this employee. If this employee is effective or effectual person on this organization. Okay, data gathering, it can be done by several tools. We have many tools to do that. We can do that remotely by traceroute, workshark, netstate, and NSLOOKUP or dig. Traceroute for network topology, workshark to analyze the packet, netstate to know about the port, is it open or not, NSLOOKUP to get or to reverse an IP from website or name host. It's a lower level utilities. All of these rules, all of these tools can be used by command. It's a lower level. Also, we have another tools like Nmap, as all of you know about Nmap, Aircrack, Hashcat, Responder, HPing. Nmap is a famous one. It's a famous tool to use for scanning. As we see before, and back to know about, yes, it is finished for now. Okay, let's know about the port. Just, oh my, this should be filtered, but it is open. It's a weakness in my site. Yes, this should be open. This is the topology, my topology to access my site. Okay, let's go to scan. Okay, this. This is about sec norms. Select it here. Remove. And this is remove. And this is remove. Let us to know about this. Okay. From my side, directly to this, from my location or my device, my site. Okay. Host name. Oh, they inform us that we are using a Linux operating system. It's called Tamo. The port used. Okay. That is mean port 80, it is open, but not traced. And operating system, this is my operating system. And yes, it is right. It is my operating system is Linux. And this is my IP address for my service. From here, we can find that the services, just word, TCP wrapped. All of this is not accessible for you. It is wrapped. And my operating, for now, you have an idea about my operating system, about my IP address, and DNS. Okay, let us go to the who is and try to find more details about my site. secnorms.com. Okay. This site told us my site is registered on GoDaddy. Status and server name, this is my server name. It's called n33domaincontrol.com. Okay, my server is in Arizona, or this is a registrant contact. This is to contact the registrant. Here, he told you email select contact domain holder. Let us to use this link to find what information can be collected from it. It's a GoDaddy site. And in this site, we can find much of details. Secnorms, the domain name or domain ID. Okay, what else? What can we find here? No, nothing. Just name server. And WordPress. And yes, my site is built on WordPress. For now, we get an IP address and also we get a name server and which code we use to build our site. Okay. Secnorms, city, Arizona. This is about what? Oh, this is abuse. Okay, let's back to Linux and try to find these. Dig signals. Okay. For me, I have 2 IP address for my service, not 1 IP address. This is UDP. Also, I use TCP and UDP. Okay, let us to make NS lookup. From NS lookup, we just get this data. So dig give us more details about, is it TCP or UDP port? Got it? Actually, I have no idea about you all, but I'm interested at all the time in data gathering process. It is my life. When I know a new person, I want to get an idea about him. So I go through Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, all of these social media to know about this person. Know about weaknesses, no, to get an idea how he thinking like this, about his personality. Okay, let's back. Okay, so Nmap can use for data gathering. Also, Aircrack. Aircrack, it's an old tool. It used till now, but it is not common tool to use to collect a data. Hashcat, it came later with the new features. It's a good one. Also our responder, it's based on or looks like Python. It looks like Python by scripting. And HPing, it's a different than ping. We can collect more information than this. It can be analyzing with ICMB for ping. Sorry. Okay, network scan Nmap. For now, we get an idea which data should be collected. What about this data? We need to connect it firstly. Why we need it, how it can be collected. We are going through this in this session. Okay, Nmap is a tool used to discover hosts, like we show minutes ago, show host and service on network and create a map of the network. Create a map of the network or know about the network topology. We have many types of a network or Nmap scan. Before that, okay, let us to go to this slide. Trace route. Let us to make a trace route for this IP address. Okay. This scan can give us an idea about this IP go through which network till to reach our service or the potential service we need to attack it. Okay, from here, no else. Okay, let us DD 25. Here they inform us, no, it is closed also, just directly. No tracing. So no need or no way to use trace route. for this. Okay, I want some service like Google. I think it is also. This is also. In Windows, trace route, it literalizes trace RT. This is IP address from Google. This is my IP address, not my IP address, but the gateway. Or maybe my IP address, but I think it's a gateway. My IP address go to my gateway, and then after that, it closed. It cannot be traced. So we should go with another way to collect more data. Let it work. In Linux, it is more quick than this. So let's back. All of us work with Workshark. Net state, okay. For DD as remembered, net state hyphen ANTP. No, state. To find the options for this service. Hyphen route, hyphen R, it means hyphen route, hyphen I, hyphen interface, hyphen group, hyphen statistics, hyphen masquerade, verbose, wide, numeric, all of these no need. We can use hyphen A as all the time, N also, and T as I used at all the time, hyphen NT to print, P as a port program. Okay, hyphen A. Let us DD 20. If it will work, I'm not sure, but oh. Connected program. Just start the established connection, not else. Okay, as we do that, okay. We can get this, copy. I'm not sure about this. Okay, let us try it. Sorry. Oh, where is it? Okay. Is it 8073 port countered? Okay, I have no idea why all of these ports are countered here. Okay, so we have a net state scan and NS lookup for DNS to get an IP or reverse an IP from domain name server or DNS. This is about Nmap, aircrack, hashcat, responder, and also HPing3. Okay, Nmap is a tool we use to discover much of data about these devices, about this system we need to collect a data about. We have a different type of Nmap scan. The first one of this scan, it's called SYN or sign scan. Sign scan, if the connection is established between two devices or two entities or 2 points, client and server, for now, it is established already. For now, the request and transmission data and another request, post and get, all of these packets, post and get, it called, or it is on the sign scan. This is a sign scan. Sign scan, it is a scan all of these packets after the established connection between two entities, and also we can get a data on this or find the data transmission on this scan. The advantage for this scan is fast and most common and scan used. All of attackers okay, are you hear me?
Yes, Miss Sahar.
I'm Abir.
Sorry, I confused. Sorry. Yes, Miss Abir.
Okay.
Sorry. I don't know what about my confused about the name. I don't know. You and Mrs. Or Mr. Shadi also. I don't know. Sometimes.
You didn't get enough time to get a good sleep.
To think, yes, my mind is very busy.
No, it happens at all the time. I remember the looks like, who looks like, but I can't remember their name. So at many time when I talking with my colleagues, oh, which is your name? What's your name? Please tell me, help me and tell me what's your name quickly. And then to continue what I said at that time.
Yeah, I think my problem in the cache memory of my brain. So طلعت السنين in there. So the brain needs
Okay,
to
it
get
should be
it
flushed.
first.
So this memory should be flushed.
Yeah.
Make it quick. We have an interesting topic ever. I have no idea what
Yeah.
you think about it, but in mine, I
Yeah.
like footprinting
Yes,
all the
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
I have no idea, is
Also
it
me.
clear? Is it clear for you all or not? But as I told you, please help me and just stop me if anything it is not clear in time. Just make that.
Okay.
Much of people here, much of a student, we didn't hear anything from there till now. They're all clear till now. Alhamdulillah, we am. Okay, before continue that, what do you think about this footprinting scan? Is it a useful?
Yeah, it's in my overview, yeah, it's very useful.
Yes, it is. It's the first stage in each attack.
Yeah.
In the attack phases, it's called reconnaissance. Reconnaissance is the first stage. We need to make this scan to know and to get and to collect much of information about this organization. We need to attack it.
Okay.
And to collect this data, we are going through much of tools or different tools. Much of them are similar. You can choose which one you are used to or prefer to use or comfort with it, just that. But Nmap is a famous one and commonly one to use because it is easy and it's supported with GUI also. For the beginners, prefer to use with GUI more than command line. So I'm not sure my connection when was disconnected, but I'll be back to explain the sign scan. When the request is sent from the client to the server to get any data from the server, the client sent a sign request or sign packet to the server. The server received this sign packet and he sent a sign ACK packet. Sign ACK, it means sign acknowledge. In short, we called ACK, ACH. Sign ACK packets will send from server to client to let him, I received your request. After that, immediately, client didn't send anything. The server sent the data requested by client. So one packet from client to server, 2 packets from server to client. One of them, it's a sign ACK, and the another one is a request data. This is a multi-time happen between client and server. So the advantage or the pros for this scan or to scan this sign packets is very fast and most common scan used. Most common scan used by Nmap. So this is advantage. Disadvantage, it's a Frankie and stuff happen when firewall. When firewall packet, firewall packet filter or packet shaper in between. What does it mean? It is Frankie, so it is not useful. This is a disadvantage for the sign scan. It is a Frankie stuff happen when the firewall packet filtered or packet shaper in between you and the target. Target, it means the system you need to attack it. Okay. So this is the one type of the Nmap scan. The another type of the scan Nmap can scan it. It's a fin scan. Fin scan regularly it used to terminate the connection. To terminate the connection. If the connection is finished between server and client, this packet should be sent from point to point. Sometimes it's sent from the server and sometimes sent from the client. It's sent from the server if the client let the connection established and he didn't ask to close it or terminate this connection, not ask to close this connection, and the session or this connection is configured in timeout, specific timeout. When this timeout we are in, the server will terminate this connection. So at this time, this packet will send from the server to the client to terminate the connection. Okay, sign or fin scan. Fin scan advantage is a scan sneak around non-stateful firewall and packet filters. This is the advantage for this scan. But disadvantage for this scan because it is hopeless to use it because of the way of scan is conducted port respond as easier is either closed, it is not useful, or port it is filtered. If the port is opened or filtered or closed, oh, okay, this is the cons. Many measures OS sent as rest, regardless of open or closed. It's a problem. Okay, in next slide, we'll find this as in network diagram. What about ACK? Fin, it is not coming without ACK. ACK scan, as I told you before, here we can find the connection firstly is established. Already it is established. And then the client asked to close this connection. He sent a fin packet. The server gets and receives the fin packet and he sent another packet, it's called fin ACK, to the client. After that, he sent a fin packet also to the client to confirm this connection will be closed. And the client should send a fin ACK. In this way, it's called handshake. Both of the entities sent a fin and receive a FINAC. Is it clear? The connection is established, and the client needs to close this connection. He sent a FIN packet. The server received the FIN packet. And okay, he sent acknowledge FIN to the client. Then after that, immediately send a FIN packet. I'm going to close this connection to inform the client that. And the client inform him, yes, close it by sending a FINAC packet. This is a four-way handshake for connection termination between clients and servers. It's about FIN and FINAC. We have another type of FINAC process or FINAC termination or FINAC packet sending and receive. Okay, this is called have close. In this type, connection is established also. All of these types, connection are established. But in here, the client asks the server to close this connection. The server sends a fine or ACK of fine or FINAC. Send the FINAC. But after he sent a FINAC, he sent a data, which is mean the client request for data before he sent a FIN. And he didn't get this data. He didn't get or receive this data. And he asked to close this connection. It may be hanged at that time. It may be network issue. It may be something. But at that time, the connection is established and he asked, send a sign request, and he received a SINAC, and it may be still under processing with the sending data. Suddenly, the client asked to FIN or close this question by sending the FIN packet, and he received a FINAC from the server. But after FINAC, the server sent the data. At this time, the client will send a packet for the server. It's called ACK data, which means I received the data, acknowledge about data. Then the server send a FIN also because he received a FIN before, and he sent a FINAC. He get or receive a FIN packet and he sent a FINAC, but after that he sent data. When he gets an ACK data and before he received a FIN data, FIN packet, he's at this time, the server sent a FIN packet to the client, and the client confirmed it by ACK FIN. Just with the latest step, this packet sent as ACK FIN from the client to the server, the termination should be done. In this type, we called it have closed. It is not totally closed because firstly, fine, packet sent from client to server, and then the client received an ACK packet, FINAC packet, sorry, and after that, should termination must be done, but it is not. He received data also. It's have closed. It is not closed. But the handshake after the final FINAC packet sent from the client to the server. Is it clear? This type, is it clear? Where is Naif? Where is Bassam? Where is Al Hanouf? Where are you guys today? Is it not
We're
interesting for
here.
you? Or is it not clear?
All clear.
So, can I explain in good?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, good. Nice to hear that. All of you. Okay, let us to go to the third type of connection termination, fin scan or fin packet. Okay, as we know, the connection is established, and also in here, the fin request will send from here. It's called simultaneous closed. It is a handshake, but in a different way. In this, it should be timed out. The client open or establish the connection and then let it open, and this session should be timed out in time. If it configured within 2 minutes or 3 minutes or 5 minutes, as a security wise, we should configure for an established session a timeout for this session. If it is not used at that time, it will be terminated automatically. So the client established the service and he didn't use it or use the service for 2 minutes, or let us talk, it is about 2 minutes, and then it is over. The server find that it is over and no send and receive packets from the client, no response from the client, then this connection should be terminated. In this type, the server will send to the client fin packet, and the client will send a fin packet to the server. It is not a fin ACK. Why? Because it is not a request from the client. It's a server request. So the response comes from the client. It's a fin packet. When the server received the fin packet from the client, he sent a NAC packet to the client, which is mean I'm going through terminate this connection. So this is a NAC packet. I send it to you. I sent you firstly fin, and I get a fin packet from your side. For now, I will give you a knowledge. I get your fin packet. Here, the client, not the client, but the session timeout manage this request or this packet's transmission. This send a packet called ACK to server to terminate the connection. So in termination connection or connection termination for session timeout, the server sends a fin packet to the client. And for termination, the session timeout will send session timeout, not a client. Session timeout will send a fin packet also to the server. And then the server sends a NAC packet to the session timeout management. And the server will receive a NAC packet from the session timeout. And just that, with that way, the session will be terminated. Is it clear?
Yes, it's clear.
Actually, at all the time, also, I like Synac, but I prefer Finac. Much of type, it means it's a challenge
Yes.
to analyze it, to find it in one chart.
Yeah.
Where is it? How it works?
Yeah.
We can go back in our time to these assignments. We are going through work chart and try to find the fin packet and the sign packet for our experience. Just that. It is not an assignment. Nobody told me that. Okay. Air crack NG. Actually, we have air XENG. Much of AXENG. We can go to write it before explain. Okay. Let us try it here. Air crack types. I have no idea where. It's about 20, I think, 20 tools. Yes, I think so. No, it is not here. I'll find the link and send it to all of this about responder. No, it is not here. Okay, it's called, by the way, when we have many types of airbag, air crack, air also, I'm not sure, I'm not remember that, but air dash ng, we call that airx. airxng. So air crack, well-known scanner. It's a well-known, it's a common scanner and well-known scanner that can show the signal and traffic on Wi-Fi networks. It is about network. It is not just for cracking the password. It is about a network scan also for Wi-Fi network. Unfortunately, airbag tool also transmit packet and it has a reputation for WEP encryption. Key and recovery. Encryption key and recovery. It works in both, which means security cracking. It broke the security. It will break the encryption for Wi-Fi connection. It's an old tool. It's an old tool. So it called, or we can call that it's a classic hacker tool. Yes, it is individual utilities. Okay, we can find that as a utilities. Just excuse me. Where is it? Air track utilities. Here. No. If you want to try this tool in your Wi-Fi at home, you can go through these steps. It's really good. It tested by my brother also before. I didn't find the utilities here. I have no idea where. Okay, I'll try to find the link and I'll share with you to know about these utilities and what's the difference between these utilities about aircrack. Okay, aircrack strengths and weaknesses. It's a classic, as we know that at this time. The pros of airbag, it's a famous hacker tool that you can use for nothing. It's a famous hacking tool. Version for Windows as well as Unix, they have all of operating system have a version of aircrack already installed in Kali Linux. It is embedded on Kali Linux. Let's see that. Okay, it's here. This is aircrack -help to know about these options you can use in your commands. These all of use. This is when use -l, which is mean we have a file. We need to crack these passwords on it, or static web cracking option -c to search alphanumerical characteristic also only, sorry, to search the binary coded decimal. This is to search about numeric key. Okay, fruit, offer it. All of these options, we should select which is suitable to make our crack for the wireless network. So one of the pros of the aircraft is a famous and well-known hacking or hacker tools. We have a version for all of operating system. It's a pros, it's advantage. Already installed in Kali Linux, no need to install again. Can crack wireless network encryption. Can crack the encryption of the wireless network. Okay, for now, let us to know about these cons or disadvantage for aircrack strengths, aircrack weaknesses. What about it? It is difficult to install. It is not easy to install in your device. Difficult to use. Need to know more about these options to use it. No graphical user interface. Much of people like to make their tasks with the GUI. But aircrack doesn't have graphical interface. Excel at cracking an encryption which is no longer used on wireless system. This Excel was built to crack the encryption of wireless system is no longer used. It is out of date. The WPA or TKP utilities doesn't work. Just work with WEP, not WPA. It's a weakness. So it is not a fully helpful to crack all the network or the wireless network encryption. Is it clear about aircrack? Do you want to talk again about aircrack, or it is enough? Okay, thanks. Let's go to another. Hashcats, my lovely one. Okay, Hashcat is a popular and effective password cracker, widely used by both penetration tester and system admin. It is not just for penetration testing or for hacking. Sometimes system admins use Hashcat tool to know about the password weaknesses in our organization. So it's a famous use by system admin also. It's a popular, effective password cracker used by attacker, by penetration tester, and also by system admin. Okay. Used to. Why we need to use Hashcat, or we used Hashcat for what? Hashcat used to cracking password for list and list purpose. Hashcat is a particularly fast, efficient, and versatile hacking tool. And that helps in brute force attack also, by performing them using hash values of passwords that the tools guess or applies. Okay, which is mean cracking tools are used for list and list. List when we can use for list, when it's used by system admin. List if used by attacker. List to attack. List for management, for scanning, penetration testing, or system admin use it sometimes to get what the whose employees can or used a weak password, to get an idea about our security. Hashcat particularly fast, it's fast to use, and also help the hacker in brute force attack. How? By performing the hash values of passwords. It provides and performing the hash values of password that the tools guess. It guess the password and give the hash file to the attacker. So it helps them in brute force attack. It's a useful tool, really. For now, the new version of Hashcat, I think I'm not trying to use it, but I think they have as UI for now to use Hashcat. I'll share with you some links to download it and to work on it on your time to get an idea more. because in week 9, we are going through ethical hacking or penetration testing. At that time, we are going to use these tools more deeply. Today also we are talk about FootPrinting. It's looks like a bit of basics, an introduction for the next couple of weeks or couple of next weeks. Is it clear? What about Hashcat? How it can be used and how it can be effective? Okay, responder. We have another tool. It's called responder. Responder is a Python tool, as I mentioned before, capable of harvesting credentials through man-in-the-middle attack within the network. The tool makes use of operating system default name, resolution protocol, and rogue server to accomplish the attack, the task, sorry, to accomplish the task. The 3 protocols exploited by the tool included LLMNR and BT and NBT, NS, and MDNS. Okay, these protocols, all of these are protocols. It can be exploited. These 3 protocols, it can be exploited when the server accomplished the task, the operating system resolution protocol and root server to accomplish man in the middle attack. Sorry, man in the middle attack within the network tools makes the operating system default name. Used the operating system default name. It is no longer used at all the time. It is used, but not commonly. Responder. It looks like Python tool, so it is not much of hacker familiar with it, by the way, but it used, yes. Not used responder a lot, many times, just that, but it looks like Python. It's simple, it's written in code, I think TCL code. This code looks like Python. It's capable for harvesting the credential. You can get the credential by the man in the middle attack within the network. It is simple. It is not a big issue, yani. The tools makes of use this tool, the major of this tool, it makes the operating system default name, resolution protocol, and rogue server to accomplish the task. Ask server to accomplish the task, or rogue server to accomplish the task, and the 3 protocols exploited. These protocols will exploited when the accomplished or when the task will accomplished. This is a 3 protocol which will be exploited. Just responder work on these protocols in network, and it work with the man in the middle attack to get a credential within the network by using the operating system name. Resolution is default. Okay. How it's used. Responder is used to poison name service to collect hashes and credentials from the system within a local network. The responder capture the hashes and credentials that are sent to the system after the name service are poisoned. Okay. It work in a local system, in a local network, and if the credential sent locally, the responder work to collect these hashes from the system, from the network, throw the man in the middle attack, locally, local system. When that, the responder capture the hashes and credential. When the system sent the user name and password within the network. So responder is used the poison network, responder is used to poison name service to collect, send, or use the poison name service to collect a hash and credential from the system within the local network. Just within the local network, there are a man-in-the-middle attack should be happen and to collect a credential from the system. When it's sent, it make a capture, just capture it when it's sent internally. This is the credentials that are sent to the system after the name service are poisoned. Just we can collect or we can make this capture after the name service are poisoned. Before that, we can make anything. So when it is poisoned, man on the middle attack is here to make a capture and to collect this credential. Got it? I'm talking to you. Is it clear?
Got it, Miss Abir.
Okay, let's go to HPing3. HPing3, it's a well-known also. It is a higher level than ping. It's called HPing. We can get more information with this tool. It's a firewall rule test. It is not like a ping to know about this IP address or this firewall. It's a test for firewall rules. These rules was configured in the firewall. These rules was configured to establish, or sorry, to allow the access between two entities, different entities. One as master and different entities. This client want to access a different servers. We have a different rules. We have many employees. These rules, it should be configured. It is rule-based, but it should be configured with the role-based, based on the employee role. He should access this server based on his role. If he has no work on this, he doesn't need to give, we doesn't need to give him an access to this server. So we are using HPing3 tool to test the rules of this firewall. This rule was configured. So it commonly, or most of time, it's used by penetration tester to scan, is it this rule was configured in our firewall, is it ineffective or not? Is it configured in proper way or not? HPing used to test this rule to perform or spoofed port scan test network performance using different protocols. To make this test, HPing using different protocols to perform and test the network or the firewall rules. Okay, does MTU path discovery performs route, trace route like action? Okay, to perform a trace route for each IP address, like action under different protocol, fingerprints, remote operating system, audit, TCP, IP packets. All of these data can be collected and analyzing through HPing. So HPing is a programmable use TCL language. It's a programmable tool using TCL language when we need to develop, or when it developed firstly, and we need to develop. If you want to develop and add some features or something, or try to develop this tool to get more information, you should learn about TCL and make it better as you need. So HP, it's a programmable using TCL language. It's developing with TCL and also used to perform our network, also to test our firewall rules using different protocols, and we can get this protocol, open ports, finger remote operating system, audit TCP, IP packets. All of these, we can do it with HPing 3. Okay, for now, we get an idea about HPing 3, about respond Nmap, hashcat, responder, HPing 3. Already we have idea about Workshark and also trace route. We have a net state, all of these tool for finger or FootPrinting. Sorry. Okay, for now, let us know. I'll give you a break for 10 minutes and let us back. No, what do you think? Okay, let us to complete this. It's just about 3 slides, and take your break and back for the lab afternoon session. I think it's a good idea. What do you think? Yes, I'll complete. Thank you. Okay, HPing 3 mechanism. Basically, HPing is sending a series of TCP sign packet. It's sending a TCP. When we try to use this HPing 3, the mechanism of it by sending a series of TCP, just TCP, not TP, UDP, just sending TCP sign packets. We have a different packets. It's called sign, ACK, and sign ACK, and fine or fin, or fin ACK, or ACK. This is the types of packets. Okay. HPing will send a TCP sign packet, receiving the SYN or sign ACK. Send a TCP sign, and the receiving packet, it will be sign ACK, but not fully establishing the throwaway handshake. Okay. This sign ACK will not establishing the three-way handshake with an ACK. Okay. The scanning, when try to scan, we will send a sign, TCP sign packet. And we are received from the target, we send to a sign packet, we will receive a sign ACK. But here, no handshake. It is not a full handshake. Okay, so it is but just sign ACK. So we can see that the server is listening on that port. When we receive that, we received a sign ACK. Sign ACK, it gives us the port is listening with. So we get an idea about this port is opened and listened on that server by receiving the sign ACK. When the attacker sends the sign packet to the server, he will receive the sign ACK, which is not full established handshake, but it's still he received a sign ACK, but not established any connection or any handshake. Handshake, which is mean established a connection. Not established, so not fully handshake, but yes, he will receive a sign ACK packet with the listening port and willing to accept a TCP connection. When the server sends a sign ACK packet with the port listening, that is mean the server is willing to establish this connection with this port. Okay. Network, okay. All of us get an idea about this methodology or mechanism. The HPing or the attacker send the signed packet to the server, and the server responds with the sign ACK packet. The attacker received this sign ACK packet with the listening port, which is mean the server is willing to accept this connection. The next step, the attacker will do it. He will establish the connection with this port when he is ready to do that. When he collected all of information to access this server, when he know about the operating system, the weaknesses of the operating system, and the credential to access the hashes, password or cracked password, all of these data, when he collected, then he can use this HPing to get an access to this server. If he had all of these and tried to sign ACK, and when he received a sign ACK from the server with the port, listening port, that is mean the server is willing to establish this connection. Is it clear? Okay. For now, we are talked about these tools we can use for the footprinting process, for reconnaissance stage, for data gathering, should be collected to any attack. Okay, let us for now to talk about network scanning technique. What is it and why? Network scanning techniques used to penetrate the firewall to discern all the open ports and to gather potential server system information. So the network scanning, all of these tools are same. We are used just to collect or to gather the information. So we use all of these network scanning techniques to penetrate or to data gathering, to penetrate or to collect the data for reconnaissance. Okay, the firewall, to penetrate the firewall or to discern all the operating system TCP ports and to gather the potential for the hacker, to gather the information for the potential server system information. So hacking or for pen testing. For both, we use the network scanning techniques. Okay, before going to the summary for all of this stage of reconnaissance stage, the first stage on the attacking, let us to talk about attacking. It is attacking or penetration testing, but in result, it's attack. If it is legal or illegal, it is illicit or illicit. In same time, it's in meantime, it's attack. So finally, when we look or make an overview for all of this stage, we know must or we can get an idea about something. Basic tool can generate much of information. Much of it looks like symbol Nmap. We used it at all the time in the past, but do you think that Nmap can use or can we collect or it can be generated much of data or we can collect much of information with Nmap tool? No, I'm not saying that at the first time when using Nmap. So basic tool can generate much of information we can get and we can gather. We can collect much of information from basic tools used to scanning. Remember the principle of accumulating information. Remember the principle of accumulating information. The attacker will build on a similar pieces to get a bigger pieces. The attacker at all the time build on smaller pieces. Yes, it is small, but it will grow to get a bigger pieces. So remember that at all the time. Not told yourself that, no, nobody think like that. It is uneasy. Nobody will do that. No. Attacker can think in different ways. And the simple things, it will help them much at all the time. Fingerprinting is the most popular data gathering technique. We have a much of tool to do a scan, to collect and to gather data. This stage, it's called the data gathering, or it's called the fingerprinting, or it's called a reconnaissance. Many tools can be used for data gathering. Just use your tool carefully. You should use your tool carefully. Learn more about this tool you are going to use to to know what this data should be getted from this tool, and which tool is more effective to collect much of data. Use your tool carefully, and please don't use this tool in illicit ways. You are so responsible. Okay, define the footprint scanning and data collection as the first step in the attack operation. As we mentioned before, and Shadi mentioned that, it's called reconnaissance. It's a first stage on the attack. It's called sometimes footprinting. The measure of this stage is the collecting data or gathering the data by scanning and get this data. It's called fingerprint. Message for the defender. Please, for all of you, don't give away any information if you can avoid it. If you can avoid or filter any ports or close it, just close it or filter it. Don't let it open. Much of port, it is weakness for the server, for the firewall, for the service, for everything. Work with the limits, requirements you need to do your work. Okay. Here, defender points. The defender points, for now we can talk about the defender points for the fingerprint to know available tools to may be able to tell the system is being footprinted. Defenders use the footprinting. Why? To know about available tools, to may be able to tell if the system is being footprinted, by more prepared for a possible attack. Vulnerability analysis, know what information you are giving away, what weaknesses you have. This is opinion of the defenders. And after that, the defenders at all the time talk us this message. Don't give away any information if you can avoid it. This is our message for all of cybersecurity engineer, our next cybersecurity engineer, inshallah. Thank you, guys. Hope you all of you are interested with this presentation, with this information. Hope all of things are clear with you all. If you want any clarification, just tell me.
Thanks, Ms. Hadir. Great lecture.
Hope it is informative for you.
Good luck and keep going.
Okay, for now we can stop the record and we can talk with us a bit, or you can left for a break. So do you need any more explanation for any point of this?
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, no, not this. Just a minute. I have no idea where is it. Or who is recording?